Hello, welcome to the Universal Mind Channel. Today we're going to talk about oneness. What is it in relationship to the universal mind? Everyone who meditates, everyone who prays is seeking oneness. The problem is, it doesn't work like that. How do I know? A lifetime of study. Uh, Died when I was 6 years old. Uh, Entities told me I didn't have to suffer anymore. I'd stop breathing. Um, if I went with them, I'd get a better body next life. Next life. Not a heaven, not a hell. I'd come back again here with a better body. And I'm not special. That's reincarnation, rebirth, as the Asians call it, the Eastern philosophies call it, is available to everyone, atheist and whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're atheist or agnostic, whatever you believe. The reality is you are one with the universal mind. The universal mind created from the Big Bang as a result of helium and hydrogen plasma. The photons that were emitted couldn't move. Scientists call it the non-binding era, because right after the Big Bang, for the first 300,000 years of the Big Bang, photons couldn't move and electrons could not bind to create molecules. So the universe was a ball of plasma. Thermodynamic forces were at play. That plasma, within the plasma, the photons just sat, couldn't move. The photons became entangled. Entangled photons, we now know, create what Einstein saw back in 1935 as spooky action at a distance. You can put one photon on one side of the universe, another photon on the other side of the universe. Each one knows what the other is immediately, instantly, in violation of the law of classical mechanics, that nothing travels faster than the speed of light. Thought travels faster than the speed of light. And photons react instantly to each other once they are entangled. Entangled photons are now the basis for our photon directed communication systems. Even DARPA, the military research and development agency, is aware of how the entanglement of photons enhance communications. The universe began at the Big Bang with three elements: hydrogen, helium, and lithium. The hydrogen and helium created that plasma. We can't see beyond that plasma. We can't see. The Hubble and the Webb telescopes can only go back to the first 300,000 years. Beyond that, between 300,000 years after the Big Bang and the Big Bang, it's just an opaque ball of non-penetrable plasma, because light wasn't moving at that time. But the ball of plasma that was the early universe was surrounded by that third element, lithium. Lithium is the lightest metal, and it is a perfect conductor of electricity. Photons carried data absorbed by the lithium shell within the first 300,000 years. And that created the universal mind. The universal mind is not aware of itself. It is not aware of us in the sense that we are aware of each other and ourselves. How can it? Think about it. If you are all that exists, how can you be aware of anything other than you? If you are all that exists and you see me, you are acknowledging that you're no longer all because you've created me. The universe cannot be aware of us in a like we're aware of ourselves. How are we aware of ourselves? Physical senses that were created by evolution to allow us to adapt to a physical environment for self-preservation, for survival. See, hear, feel, touch, taste, they're all meant for survivability. The universe doesn't need senses, it is. It does, and survivability is not an issue for the universe or for the universal mind. It is what it is. It's a whole thing. And there are parts to it. Just like we have parts. We have a brain, we have different organs, but do we think of our organs minute by minute, day by day, how they function? No, we take them for granted. We don't think about them. It's us. We don't think about how well our brain is functioning unless a doctor tells us. We don't think about how our heart is functioning, how it's pumping every minute. We actually have to concentrate to be aware of our own breathing. We take it for granted. That is essentially what the universe does with us. It takes us for granted. It is us. We are it. The problem is, it's very difficult for us in our classical mechanical reality to perceive the oneness that exists within us and all around us. For example, we're born, raised, live, exist in a physical reality that's controlled by classical mechanics. Our instincts are therefore controlled by classical mechanical interactions. There's the example of the cheetah chasing an animal, but when the cheetah realizes that the animal has accelerated beyond what it can catch, it immediately stops chasing because it knows instinctively, I can't catch it anymore, and I'm not going to waste any effort on it. I'm going after some other food. That's the instincts of which we exist, just like that cheetah, in a classical reality, in a classical mechanical environment. The problem is, we also exist in a quantum world, a quantum universe, and that fundamental particles that we can't see, touch, feel, or taste basically form the fundamental, the basis for our universe. That is the trick. We can't cognate, we can't appreciate intellectually how that exists. We're swimming in a sea of photons in every wavelength and frequency, not just the visual spectrum, but above that and below that. Those there are fundamental particles that radiate energy, that have been flowing through us since the day we've been born, do now until the day we die, and has for the past 14 billion years. We can't see it, can't feel it, can't touch it, but we're swimming in it, and it contains information, contains energy, and we're a part of it. They say we're star stuff. Well, we're photon stuff. We're light. We're just wrapped in a physical shell, and that separates us. It makes it almost impossible for us to appreciate and be aware of our oneness with the universe. Why? Because everything we see, hear, feel, touch reinforces to us that we're separate. If somebody gets hurt, they feel pain, you don't. If you feel pain, if you get hurt and you feel pain, I don't. We're separate. And that's probably why there's no telepathy. Evolution didn't find a need to adapt within us the organ that would allow telepathy. What it did was allow the emotion, the organs of emotion, the limbic system, in all our experiences. Everything you know is not immediate sensory, but instantaneously made a memory. Your five senses bring in data that is immediately taken into short-term memory. So everything that you're seeing of yourself and the rest of the world is of memory. And your memory, every experience you have is filtered through your limbic system, which imprints upon your memories emotions. And every emotion separates you from everyone else because you are placing an emotional imprint upon every experience you have. And every experience you have further individualizes you from and separates you by experience from everything else that exists and everyone else that exists. And that's important because we are I don't have an answer to this. This is just my take on it. But I think existence, one of the main reasons for our existence, is that we are the ultimate individual expressions. We are the ultimate expressions of the universe. The universe has us as its own individual self-expressions. For example, religions, and more likely Western religions, they'll teach you and indoctrinate you that one religion is better than the others. And if you don't believe in that religion, you'll go to hell. And that religion and its elites have used the fear of death and the unknown of what happens after death, to compel and influence individuals, the masses, for the last 2,000 so years, to join these religions, to give the elites money and power, money and influence, out of fear. Generations have been born, lived, and died not knowing that it's not religions that matter. It's what exists already within you. Your connection with the universal mind, your kernel of awareness, your seed of awareness within you deep, buried deep, that you are one with the universal mind. How do you get to that kernel? How do you get to that seed? How do you allow it to grow? The more, it's counterintuitive. The more you seek it, the further you push it away. If I seek, and I know that sounds counterintuitive, it is, but unless you understand that, you'll never get closer to it. If you seek something, you are acknowledging you are separate from it. If I seek oneness with the universal mind, I am accepting a false reality that I'm separate. And I'm reinforcing it by thinking that I need to pursue it. So the very act of you seeking oneness is an acknowledgement of a falsehood. The falsehood being that you're separate. And you are brainwashing yourself that you're separate from it. And it's just like two poles, the same poles of two magnets. It pushes apart. You'll never reach it. That's kind of a logic. I mean, I don't, you can debate that if you want, but logically, I don't think you'll succeed. So how do you become one with the universal mind? If everything you realize, everything you've been born and lived and become tells you you're separate, how do you work through that false, that illusion, that grand illusion of physical reality? that really isn't real. How do you work through it? Well, we've all been, this is my take, okay? We all have our journeys, we all have our experiences. And I'm not here to tell you mine's any better than yours. It's not. You have your own journey. And the best teacher for you is within you. It's not me. It's not in a pulpit. It's not wearing a robe. Anyone, and that's why authoritarianism and fascism is not godly. Anybody who says that they know more than you about spiritual or create a religion, it's meant to divide you, not to bring you together. Religion is created to create division, because only by division can they create a power struggle between what they want you to believe and what another group wants you to believe. And only by believing in them can you avoid hell, they say. So you got to follow their rules, you have to be obedient to them, and you have to pay them money so that they can continue to tell you what to do. Nice gig. Nice gig. It's worked for 2,000 years because people are kind of gullible. And they didn't have science to tell them otherwise. We have Hubble and we have Webb telescopes that go back to that non-binding era where the photons couldn't move. It looks all the way back to the beginning, almost the beginning of the universe. No heaven and no hell. And that's what religion has told us, that their God created everything, and their God created heaven and hell. So that heaven and hell is part of the universe, just as we are. Think about this. If heaven and hell were real, for it to be real, we would have to feel the pain of the hell. Okay? We'd have to feel the burning pain. It's a physical sensation. There is no physical sensation without classical mechanics and a real universe, and a physical universe in which to support it. And yet, there is no physical hell. There is no physical heaven. So what happens? I submit to you, you're born again. If you want to be. I don't think the entities that control the process are any different from us. They're just a little further advanced than us. That's all. I don't think they're magic. I just think that they're a little more, the beings that I interacted with when I died. They weren't angels. They didn't preach. They didn't tell me about Jesus. They didn't tell me about God. They were very direct with me. You shouldn't have to suffer anymore. If you'll come with us, we'll give you a better body next life. That's what they kept repeating to me. Compassionate, loving, caring, but also kind of objectively detached. They've been through it before, and they know more than us. Only because I think they've seen more of the process. Praying or meditating pushes you away from oneness. Praying is what I want something. Well, if I want something, I'm creating a separateness from who I'm praying to. I want you to give me something. Some meditation is that way too. Anytime meditation is focused upon and seeing the universal mind as separate from you, you're defeating the purpose of the meditation. Proper meditation, to me, is opening yourself, just opening yourself to the reality within you. You're one. And allowing that oneness, that awareness within your conscious mind to grow. Because it already exists. So the purpose of meditation is a training vehicle, training your mind, your conscious mind, to realize the reality of your situation. You are one with the universal mind. And everything that the universal mind has is available to you, if you would but accept it, be one with it. How do you get to that? Well, distracting the mind, daydreaming can help, because it separates your awareness of self and puts it aside. It's the constant awareness of self through senses, emotions, that bars us from a growing awareness of our oneness with the universal mind. And you have to find tricks to get rid of the emotions. So you have to just find a way to meditate in such a way that you're not thinking of them, you're not feeling emotions. And when thoughts occur to you that might cause you to feel emotions, you don't fight it, you just let them express themselves and float away. And if it helps to concentrate on your breathing, to distract you from thoughts about the world or what you've got to do in your job, or life, focus on one thing. I've heard people that do this a lot, concentrate on breathing. I know that when I was suffering through asthma when I was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, I know I concentrated on my breathing all the time, because that's all I was trying to live. And I had to struggle to breathe every minute of every day. And I was somewhat distracted from everything else, and it put me in a place mentally that I was really non-self-aware. And I found that when I was playing sports, I could achieve that same state of non-self-awareness by becoming consumed by the game. And by just performing in the game, I would forget myself. I've also been an actor. And if you become a role, you're thinking of the role that you're to play, not yourself. And there are times when those little openings in your consciousness occur, and you feel that oneness, either through inspiration, some enlightenment. It comes through. And the point of meditation is to increase that openness as much as you can. To allow oneness to become its own reality in its own time is important. Don't stress it. It will happen. It has to happen because you're already one. And the only way that you would not experience a growing awareness of your oneness is if you kept thinking about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. You obsess about it, you are pushing it away. Remember that. The more you think about becoming one, the less you are getting there. And there's no getting there. Just let it come to you. You're it anyway. It's a frame of reference. You've got to change your frame of reference from being separate to being one. And just, you're there. Separation is an illusion created by our senses. And by the sense of separation and individuality that our physical environment creates for us. You don't need people telling you to well, let me just put it this way. You don't need an intercessor. You don't need someone speaking on your behalf with God or the Lord or Heavenly Father. It's you and the universal mind. And the best person, the best individual, the best way to reach that universal mind is within yourself. Someone's assuming a false authority by wearing a robe or by being in a church, a temple, any claim of authority is an attempt by that religion to put you in separation from the universal mind, and to say you can't get to the universal mind except through us. We're the middleman. You can't get to where you want to go. Where do you want to go? Well, you should go to heaven. You should avoid hell. How do you do that? You go through us. We're the door. That's not true. I submit to you. And I'm not. I want you to understand. This is I was a member of a religion too. And I respect everyone's belief. And I respect everybody's attempt to find truth. And if it leads you to a religion, so be it. I've been there, and I went beyond it. Look at it this way. The First Amendment to the the American Constitution, gives us all the right to believe what we want, as long as we don't hurt each other. Can't use violence in the name of any religion. That's a crime. But we're all allowed the opportunity to believe in whatever faith we choose. And we're all allowed the opportunity to express our beliefs. The First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, put them together. We can believe what we want, and we can share our views together in written form, orally, verbally, on the internet. As long as we do not attack each other because of our religion. The First Amendment is an effort to bring us together through communication, a sharing of experience. And if we disagree, to be able to express that disagreement civilly, without violence. But it works both ways. If you can express, if we have a right to have a faith, we should also, and we do, have a right to question faith. And that is the spirit in which this channel operates. We are seeking truth, and we're going to have to question some things, because isn't it time people stop being born, live, and dying without knowing the truth? My truth may not be for you, and I understand that. But I submit to you that if I don't speak this, my truth, then your existence is lessened. And that wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be good for you. It wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be why a channel like this was created.